Last month, I found out a relative I barely knew left me $2.5 million. And my parents' first reaction wasn't congratulations or that's amazing. It was perfect. Now you can finally take care of your sister and her kids. For context, I'm 26, living in Austin, Texas. I work as a graphic designer for a mid-sized marketing agency, pulling in a decent but not extravagant salary. I rent a small one-bedroom apartment, drive a 10-year-old Honda Civic, and until last month, my savings account was a sad little number that wouldn't even cover 6 months of rent. The relative in question was my dad's older brother, Uncle Mark. He'd moved to Colorado when I was a kid, and apart from a few Christmas cards and one awkward Thanksgiving visit when I was 13, we never really spoke. My parents always described him as weird and selfish, so I never questioned why we weren't close. Then, out of the blue, I get a call from a lawyer in Denver. At first, I thought it was some scam, but the guy knew my full name, my address, even my birth date. He told me Uncle Mark had passed away suddenly and left me the bulk of his estate, valued at $2.5 million. There were no conditions, no catch. I almost dropped my phone. I called my mom immediately, shaking with shock and excitement. I barely got the words out before she said, "Oh, that's perfect. You can finally help your sister get out of that dump she's renting. With her 2 boys and everything, she really needs a bigger house. And of course, you'll pay off her car loan too." I laughed at first, thinking she was joking. I haven't even had time to process this. Can we just..." But she cut me off. "Honey, you're young. You don't need that much money. Your sister has responsibilities. Family takes care of family." When my dad got home from work, he didn't even say hello. "So, when are you wiring half to your sister?" No discussion. No, let's figure something out. Just a command. That night, I sat on my bed, staring at the ceiling. I'd gone from broke to multimillionaire in the span of an afternoon, but instead of celebrating, I felt cornered. And I had no idea just how far my parents and sister would go to make sure I didn't keep a cent more than they thought I deserved. The next morning, my mom called before I even had my coffee. "So, I was thinking," she said in that fake sweet tone she uses when she's about to guilt-trip someone. "Your sister's lease is up in 2 months. That gives us plenty of time to find her a nice 4-bedroom near us. You can pay in cash. Avoid all those nasty mortgage interests." "Mom, I haven't even decided what I'm doing with the money yet," I said, still half asleep. "Well," she sighed dramatically, "what's there to decide? You don't have a family to support. She does. You've always had more opportunities than her anyway." That one hit a nerve. "What opportunities? I've been paying my own bills since I was 19. "Exactly," she said, as if proving her point. "You're independent. She's not. So you can afford to help." Later that day, I got a text from my sister, Emma. "Hey, so happy for you. I know you'll do the right thing." No question. No if in her mind. I tried to explain my side, that I wanted to maybe buy a modest home for myself, invest the rest, maybe travel. She hit me back with, "That's selfish. The boys need stability. You'll understand when you have kids." That weekend, I went over to my parents' place for dinner, thinking maybe we could have a calm discussion. But when I walked in, I realized it wasn't just them. 3 of my aunts and uncles were there, plus my grandma. The conversation at the table wasn't about me. It was about me, as if I wasn't even in the room. Aunt Linda. Emma's such a good mom. She's sacrificed so much. It's only fair she gets help now. Uncle Steve. Yeah, money changes people. We don't want you turning into one of those greedy types. Grandma. Family should come first. Always. Every eye turned to me, waiting for me to nod in agreement. My dad even put a hand on my shoulder. "You know we're right, kiddo. Just say you'll give her half and this tension will go away." I looked around that table and realized something. This wasn't just about Emma's financial situation. They had already decided how my money should be spent, and it didn't involve me having a say. And that was the moment I knew. This was going to get ugly. 2 days later, I got a call from my dad telling me to come over because we need to get this paperwork started. Paperwork? When I got there, my parents were sitting at the kitchen table with a stack of documents and a pen in front of my chair. My mom smiled like this was all perfectly normal. "It's just a simple power of attorney form," she said. "That way we can handle the property purchase for Emma, since you're so busy with work." I didn't even sit down. "You want me to sign over control of my inheritance?" Dad leaned forward, voice firm. "It's not your inheritance, it's the family's. Uncle Mark would have wanted everyone to benefit." I laughed in disbelief. "Uncle Mark barely knew you. He left it to me for a reason." That's when Emma, who I didn't even know was in the house, came out from the hallway. "You're unbelievable. I'm drowning in bills and you're hoarding money you didn't even earn." I turned to leave, but she followed me to the door. "Fine, don't help me. But when your parents can't pay their mortgage, don't come crying to me." The next morning, I woke up to a flood of notifications. Emma had posted a long rant on Facebook. Some people care more about vacations and fancy houses than keeping a roof over their nephews' heads. Blood doesn't mean anything to the selfish. She didn't tag me, but she didn't have to. Half my extended family and several old friends were already commenting, taking her side. At work, one of my coworkers joked, "Hey, Scrooge McDuck, when are you going to buy us all lunch with your millions?" I knew then the story had spread beyond family. That night, my dad called again. Not to talk, but to lay down an ultimatum. "Sign the papers by Friday, or don't bother coming around anymore." I hung up without answering. That should have been the end of it. But deep down, I knew. If they were willing to ambush me with legal documents and trash me online, they wouldn't stop there. And I was right. The following week, I was working late when I got an email alert from my bank. "Unusual sign-in attempt detected." The location? My parents' town. The time? 10 minutes earlier. My stomach dropped. I called the bank immediately, and the rep confirmed someone had tried 3 different password combinations before being locked out. They advised me to change my credentials, enable 2-factor authentication, and maybe even move the funds temporarily. I didn't need a detective to figure out who it was. The next morning, I got a call from my lawyer in Denver. "Your parents contacted me," he said carefully. "They're claiming you're mentally unfit to handle the inheritance and are considering challenging the will." I actually laughed. A short, bitter sound. "They're serious?" "Serious enough to ask me about court dates," he replied. That weekend, I agreed to meet my parents at a coffee shop, thinking maybe face-to-face we could de-escalate. Big mistake. The moment I sat down, my dad slid a folder across the table. Inside were bank statements, a printout of my credit report, even my student loan history. "You're reckless with money," he said. "We're just trying to protect what's left before you blow it on nonsense." "I've been paying my bills on time for years," I said, pushing the folder back. Mom leaned in, lowering her voice. "If you really loved this family, you'd help Emma. If you don't, well, don't be surprised if you're not invited to Thanksgiving, or Christmas, or anything ever again." Then my dad delivered the real threat. "We will take you to court, and when people find out why, good luck keeping your job." I left without finishing my coffee. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped my keys. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at the ceiling again. Same as that first night, but this time the fear was mixed with something else. Anger. They had crossed every line. Public humiliation, attempted theft, now legal threats. And I was done playing defense. First thing Monday morning, I went to my bank in person. I moved every cent of the inheritance into a newly established trust account under my lawyer's supervision. The trust was airtight. Only I could authorize withdrawals, and it was legally shielded from claims by anyone outside of my direct control. Then I changed my phone number, email, and even my mailing address to a P.O. box. Every possible door they could use to reach me. slammed shut. The silence lasted less than a day. My new number started getting calls from unknown almost immediately. When I didn't answer, the text messages started. Mom, we need to talk before things go too far. Emma, hope you're happy, the boys are crying. They thought they were getting their own rooms. Dad, this isn't over. By the end of the week, I had over 50 missed calls and a dozen voicemails, each angrier than the last. Then my cousin messaged me on Instagram. Hey, heads up. Your mom's been telling everyone you cut them off and they might lose the house because of you. I had to laugh. They'd been trying to use me as a financial safety net for years. Turns out my inheritance was their plan A to clear out their credit card debt and refinance the mortgage. When I took that away, they went into full smear campaign mode. The cherry on top? Emma posted a GoFundMe titled, "Help My Kids Get a Safe Home," with a sob story that made me look like a heartless millionaire. The comments were brutal. Strangers calling me greedy, selfish, even soulless. For a minute, I considered firing back publicly, posting the receipts, the screenshots, the bank alert. But then I realized they wanted a public fight. That way they could play the victims even louder. So I stayed quiet. And in that silence, I made plans. Plans they wouldn't see coming. 3 months later, I was standing in the driveway of my new home, a cozy 2-story in Portland, Oregon, with big windows and a tiny garden in the back. It wasn't some billionaire mansion, but it was mine, fully paid for, and 1,000 miles away from the chaos in Texas. The best part? My parents didn't even know my new address. Once I was settled, I made the move that shocked even my lawyer. I donated $150,000 to a nonprofit that helps single mothers escape abusive situations. It wasn't through Emma, and it sure as hell wasn't for her benefit, but it was for women who truly needed a lifeline, the kind my family tried to guilt me into providing without a shred of gratitude. 2 weeks later, my mom somehow found my email and sent me a raging novel. So you had money to throw away on strangers, but not to help your own blood? You've destroyed this family. We're done with you. Emma followed up with, wow, guess charity clout matters more than your nephew's. Don't bother showing your face here again. I didn't respond. I just closed my laptop, poured myself a glass of wine, and sat on my porch watching the sunset. In the quiet, I realized something. I wasn't just free from their financial demands. I was free from their control. Every choice I made from now on would be mine alone. Sure, the smear campaign didn't magically vanish. I still hear through mutual friends that they bring me up at every family gathering, painting me as the villain. But honestly, I can live with that. I bought my freedom fair and square. Sometimes, late at night, I do wonder, could I have handled it differently? Could I have given them something just to keep the peace? But then I remember the stack of documents they pushed at me, the bank alerts, the Facebook post calling me selfish before I'd even made a decision. They didn't want compromise. They wanted control, and I'm done giving that to anyone. So now my parents don't speak to me, my sister blocked me, and I'm living my best life in a new city. But part of me wonders, was keeping the money for myself really the right move? What do you think?